Look at any old painting of a British family. Look at the photographs of their monarchs from Victoria onwards. In the frame, almost without fail, you will find a dog. It sits not as a pet, but as a silent, loyal member of the household, a fixed point in the national story. And yet today, the nation's own broadcaster is asking a question that would have been unthinkable just a generation ago. Is Britain becoming too friendly to dogs? They'll tell you this is about park cleanliness or allergies. But is that the real story? Or is this a quiet battle over who gets to define the character of a nation? To understand why that question even exists, we have to go back. We have to see how the dog wasn't just part of British culture. It was deliberately engineered to be a pillar of it. That engineering project began in a small, unassuming London flat in 1873. Picture it. A group of English gentlemen, confident, self-assured, deciding to create something called the Kennel Club. Now, on the surface, this was just a registry, a way to formalize breeds and dog shows. But you have to understand, this was never just about paperwork. It was a conscious act of cultural definition. They were taking the dog, an animal that had been a worker or a hunting partner, and systematically elevating it. They were codifying it, institutionalizing it as a central pillar of British life. And then, that project got a royal endorsement that sent it into overdrive. Queen Victoria, her passion for her dogs wasn't kept behind palace walls. It cascaded down through every level of society. It was her influence that truly transformed the dog into a non-negotiable part of the home. Suddenly, the dog wasn't just in the yard, it was in the family portrait. Owning a specific breed became more than just having a pet. It became a signal. It said something about your status, your character, your family's place in the world. This was a culture at the peak of its confidence, looking at the world and declaring, this is who we are. This is what we value. This is our normal. They were building a world, a cultural bedrock, they believed would last for generations. They could never have imagined that less than 150 years later, their own national broadcaster, the BBC, would turn around and ask, with a completely straight face, if Britain's problem was that it was simply too fond of its dogs. That question alone tells you the world they built is now under siege. And the real story is understanding why. And that siege began, as they so often do, not with a bang, but with a question. A question quietly inserted into the national bloodstream by our own state broadcaster, the BBC. Suddenly, the screen isn't filled with the Britain we've known. Instead, we're shown carefully selected interviews. People with genuine, but statistically rare allergies. People with a pronounced fear of dogs, a condition called cynophobia. We hear their stories of feeling trapped in public parks. Their discomfort framed not as a personal issue, but as a public crisis. And then, the presenter turns to the camera with that practiced, concerned look and poses the unthinkable question. The question we were never meant to ask. Are we all becoming too dog-friendly? He asks. Has it all gone a bit too far? A strange line of inquiry in a nation that has defined itself by its love for dogs for over a century. It makes you pause, and you have to wonder, what is really going on here? Because the story they're presenting, one of allergies and phobias, is a deliberate distraction. It's a convenient and emotionally resonant frame designed to stop you from asking the real questions. They are banking on you accepting their narrative, so you don't look at the data. The data that tells a completely different story about who is really driving this change and why. And that's precisely what we're going to look at next. So, let's look at that data. We begin by confronting the central premise being sold to you. The idea that Britain has become too dog-friendly. The truth is the precise opposite. The narrative is an inversion. While the media manufactures stories of a nation overrun, the legal and social reality is one of rapidly tightening control. This isn't a gradual shift. It's a systematic clampdown. First, look at the national level. The government didn't relax rules, it just banned an entire breed, the XL bully. This is not the action of a state that feels it's too accommodating. Second, look at the local level. All across the country, councils are deploying so-called Public Spaces Protection Orders, or PSPOs. These are legal instruments used to create dog exclusion zones, carving up the very parks and public squares that have been shared for generations. And third, look at the private sector. Major national chains like the pub giant Wetherspoons enforce a strict, blanket no-dog policy across hundreds of their locations. So, let's assemble the facts. The government is banning breeds, councils are restricting access, major businesses are shutting their doors. These are not the actions of a nation struggling with being too friendly. They are the clear, undeniable actions of a culture becoming systematically hostile to dogs and their owners. This contradiction exposes the official story as a fabrication. It creates a logical vacuum. So if the official reasons are a lie, if Britain is in fact becoming less tolerant of dogs, not more, then who or what is this all for? The real reason is something far more fundamental. It's the one factor in this debate that is consistently, deliberately left unspoken, and it's the one variable that nobody in power wants to name. That unspoken variable, the one factor that nobody in power wants to name, is this: the quiet, steady, civilisational clash with Islam. Now that is a significant claim. So let's move away from theory and look directly at the official government data. We won't speculate, we will simply observe a pattern. Let's start with the Sunderland, London borough of Tower Hamlets. According to the official 2021 UK census, Tower Hamlets has the highest Muslim population in England and Wales, standing at 39.9%. It also happens to have some of the country's most restrictive public spaces protection orders, the PSPOs, which heavily limit where dogs can be walked or even if they are allowed at all. The pattern continues. Let's look at the London borough of Camden. The same 2021 census data shows its Muslim population at 16.1%. And again, we see Camden Council aggressively expanding its own PSPOs, banning dogs from more and more of its public green spaces. Once you see it, the correlation becomes undeniable. The councils enforcing the most draconian anti-dog policies are precisely the same councils with the highest and fastest growing Muslim populations. This isn't a coincidence. This is a direct statistical relationship. When you overlay a map of the strictest dog restrictions onto a demographic map of London, the two layers match almost perfectly. So let's be clear about the true nature of this debate. The official reasons given, allergies, public safety, nuisance, simply fall away when faced with the data. What remains is the reality of a silent, incremental replacement of one culture's foundational norms with those of another. Now, I know what a critical thinker is asking right now. Correlation is not causation. And you are absolutely right to raise that point. Simply showing two things happening in the same place is not definitive proof, but what if there was direct proof? What if the agenda was stated explicitly, out in the open? In the next section, we are going to look at the smoking gun, the direct evidence that proves this is not a theory, but a deliberate campaign. Let's examine the evidence. Exhibit A comes directly from a Labour Party advisor, Scarlett Maguire, discussing the challenge of getting more Muslims to use Britain's national parks. Listen closely to the official framing of the problem. Pause for audio clip. Dogs. And actually, this isn't just about the fact that a lot of Muslims find dogs problematic. Did you catch that? Dogs, a cornerstone of British country life, are officially designated a problem, an obstacle to be managed away for the comfort of a new demographic. This is not a vague feeling. It's an explicit political calculation. If a political advisor's admission is revealing, a government document is definitive. This brings us to Exhibit B, a 2024 report commissioned by the Welsh Government itself, titled the Anti-Racist Wales Evidence Report, and written by a group called Climate Cymru BAME. It makes a stunning recommendation. It explicitly calls for the creation of dog-free areas in local green spaces, specifically to address the discomfort of ethnic minority groups, including Muslims. What you have just seen moves this entire issue from implication to documented fact. The quiet conversation is now public policy. The state itself is drafting the plans to re-engineer British public life. The subtext has become the official text. It's one thing to feel like things are changing, but it's another to see it written down in official reports. This story is about Britain, but the pattern is global. Have you seen a similar dynamic in your own town or city, where long-standing community norms are quietly being managed away? Share your story below. This leads to the final unsettling question. The entire justification for these changes is framed around the word inclusive. But we have to ask, when does being inclusive to the point of erasing your own foundational norms stop being welcoming and start becoming a form of cultural self-erasure? That question, when does being inclusive become a form of self-erasure? It's not just some abstract philosophical puzzle. It's a question many of us feel in our own suburbs, in our own lives. Think of it this way. You've had a family barbecue in your backyard every Sunday for 20 years. It's part of who you are. Then a new neighbour moves in and complains about the smoke. The first time, you're accommodating. Of course, you might adjust the time or give them a heads up. But what happens when they demand you stop permanently? That the very tradition itself is offensive? The moment you find yourself writing a 10-page essay to justify the existence of a sausage sizzle, that's the line. That's when accommodation stops being neighbourly and starts becoming surrender. And this is precisely why we have to stop talking about dog parks and start talking about something much, much bigger. A healthy, confident culture must believe in its own worth. It understands that adaptation has to be a two-way street. It has the quiet confidence to welcome newcomers, while also being clear about its own non-negotiables. It doesn't feel the need to apologise for its own existence. But what we are seeing now is the opposite. And this is the most critical point of our entire conversation. The moment every old norm has to justify its existence to every new discomfort, that culture starts hollowing itself out from the inside. It's a quiet, invisible process at first. It feels like constantly walking on eggshells in your own home. It feels like the ground rules of your own society are being rewritten by someone else. And you're not allowed to ask why. Being told that your most cherished traditions are now barriers isn't a sign of a strong, inclusive society. It's the symptom of a culture that has lost its nerve. So you see, this was never really about dogs. It's about social trust. It's about whether adaptation is a one-way street or a two-way street. And ultimately, it's about whether a nation has the self-respect to ask others to adapt to it, rather than the other way around. But even this fundamental argument about cultural confidence doesn't get to the absolute heart of the matter. Because the bond between the British people and their dogs isn't just a norm, and it's certainly not just a hobby. To truly understand the sheer scale of what is being casually erased, we have to go back. Not decades, not even centuries. We have to go further. Before the Romans, before the Anglo-Saxons, before the very idea of modern Britain was ever conceived. We need to uncover why this bond is written not just in their history books, but somewhere much, much deeper. And that's exactly where we're going next. We're in a time before Britain had a name. Imagine a vast green wet island shrouded in mist, a land of deep forests and sprawling marshland. Through that ancient world, a figure moves, a Celtic hunter, and running silently beside him, a shadow, perfectly in step, is his dog. This isn't a pet. This is a partner. This is survival. Centuries pass. The Romans come with their legions and their laws. They build their straight roads and their grand villas. And if you go to the ruins of those villas today and you brush away the dirt from the floor, you can feel the cold stone of their mosaics. And what image do you find etched into the very foundations of their homes? That same familiar shape, the dog, a guardian, a companion, a piece of the family. This connection isn't a modern fashion. It's not some Victorian sentimentality. This bond is woven into the very soil of the island. Think about what that really means. The presence of the dog in this land, it is older than the British state itself. It's older than the Union. It's older than Westminster, older than the cathedrals. And yes, it is older than Islam. They belong to the deep grain of the country. And now, picture a committee, a handful of people in a sterile, fluorescent-lit room, sitting on plastic chairs, looking at a bureaucratic document labelled Public Space Protection Order. They are debating whether this ancient primal bond is a nuisance, whether it needs to be managed, restricted, and slowly erased from public life. So when you see that new sign go up in your local park, when you're handed that leaflet, you need to understand that this is about more than just a dog on a lead. It's a test. It's asking you whether a bond that predates the country itself can be negotiated away for the sake of administrative tidiness. The deep history gives us the answer, and it's a very clear one, and that clear answer is no. The bond cannot be negotiated away for administrative tidiness. Because the question about the dogs was never really about the dogs. It was a test. It was Britain asking itself, quietly, if it still belongs to itself. And the only possible answer for a nation that wishes to continue is an unequivocal yes. You don't find the truth of this in parliamentary records. You find it in the House. You see it everywhere in the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. It's in the muddy boots by the door, the old leash hanging on a hook. It's in the family photos on the wall and the quiet, solid weight of a head resting on your lap at the end of a long day. That unspoken assumption that a dog is simply part of life, and that our lives would feel colder, emptier, without one. And this is the final, crucial point. A nation does not only die when its borders fail, it dies when its memory fails. It dies when it forgets what made it familiar to itself. When its oldest, most fundamental instincts are recast and dismissed as mere inconveniences. If these questions matter to you, if you believe a nation's memory is worth defending, make sure you subscribe to this channel. The conversation is just beginning.